All right, this is Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, just here to tell you another story. Well, today we're going to make some big, huge flowers and kind of in the Georgia O'Keeffe style. So got my white hat on and I'm ready to go. All right, here we are with this painting. And this is going to be kind of in the Georgia O'Keeffe style, mostly because it's just a big blossom there that we're painting. So we're going to try something unique with this painting though. We're going to use a spoon. So you could always use a brush. You could find a big brush if you wanted to do that, but we're going to use a spoon with it. All right, first thing we want to do is we want to paint our canvas black. If you want to buy, if you were watching this and then going back out and watching it again and you want to buy a black canvas, you can always do that. But I wanted to show how you could just do what we've been doing. Just using this one of the canvas. So I'm going to take a bigger brush and I'm going to just quickly run across it. I'm just going to make the whole thing black, and then the colors for the blossom we'll just do on top. Be thinking about what you would like to, how you would like to color yours. You know, what color would you like your blossom to be? Sometimes I do dab just a little bit of water on there. I don't want a lot. I'm just kind of dabbing it in, going across. And then you can always straighten out your brush strokes later. You just get some color on there. All these paintings that we do, we're trying to do those in 1 hour. So it's more like filling in a color sheet with colors. So we want our painting there. Now, if you know how to shade, and I'll show a little bit of that along on some of it, but we're just basically wanting to get a painting done in 1 hour. See what we can do. You can always add more time on your own, but that way we have it completed. I'm trying not to get it on my table as much today. And I like to get on the sides of the canvas too, in case I don't know about when you paint paintings like this, but I like to not have to frame them. I just hang them on the wall like they are. And if the sides are done like that, it makes it a little more complete. So paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint. And painting like this, it's kind of soothing. Kind of soothing, just back and forth, getting it complete. You could block off the space that blossom's in if you wanted to. Like I said, to me, this is just kind of easier. And we're going to put quite a bit of paint on it when we're doing the blossom, so it should be able to cover that up. And then still see a little bit of the black through, which gives it a little bit of dimension there. And then I've got my trusty, dusty hair dryer back here that I'm going to blow this dry. So if you're wanting to get this done quickly, that's the way to get it done, is to have a blow dryer available. Now I do tend to like my backgrounds to go across. So since I've got it painted in, I'm going to just go back across. This kind of makes the color a little closer to the sameness across it. Sometimes when it's the blue background, I don't worry as much about it because when we look out at the blue sky, we notice the streaks of white in it and our other colors depending on what time of day and sunset and sunrise. Okay, I didn't get all the way down on that side. So you might go out and read about Georgia O'Keeffe. There's some good books at the library about Georgia O'Keeffe and her style of painting and how it came to be. I always like learning about the artist along the way. All right, I'm getting my blow dryer, so get ready. Here we come for some noise. All right, that didn't take long. See, I thought a paintbrush went underneath there. Looks like a little spot right there that somehow I didn't get any paint on it. I guess there's another one. Okay. So now what we're going to try is we're going to try using a spoon. I've got two different kinds here. Going to see which one we think works the best. And I bet you I ended up needing a whole lot more white. Now if you look at my painting, I went all the same direction around. So I'm going to start in like this and go around. So I'm dipping in the two colors. Now the first time I want to dip in white and then just a little bit of the other color you choose. So I chose red. You can choose any color you want. We're making a tint of red. We're making pink. All right, so I'm thinking like right here, and I'm going to dip my spoon like this. You know, I think I'm going to just paint a little on there. I think that's going to be how I'm going to try this. All right. Then I'm going to start in like this. Okay. You kind of have to get used to it at first. I'm going to dab that. Oh, yep, I like that. Okay, now I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to do that. And I want quite a little bit of paint on there. Then I'm going to dip there, and then I'm going to go again. Now you want to just keep going even if there's not much paint there, and then if you need more, then pick it up. Pick up some more. Okay, we're going to try the plastic and see how that works out. You have to try and see what you like. It might be that the flexibility, depending on what kind of plastic spoon you have, the flexibility of the plastic might be good. And I'm going to make them, I want to make them curl. But I like how the colors blend together, and I really, you know, I'm not really choosing how they blend together. I'm just putting them on. I'm putting them on and then letting them. And then I added a couple of coats, and now you see it's smoother now. And I'm turning my spoon sideways, and I have quite a little bit of paint on there. I want that one to be a little bit further out. So dip in white, dip in red. I got a lot of red that time. Let's dip back in white. You just have to kind of experiment around. See what works for you. And I'm trying to make it come to a little ring, circle-ish shape here in the middle. All right. Just trying to get that balance. If that's hard for you to do, you could take a bigger brush like this and just go back on it. I know some people like things more even than others. I just... Okay. I like how the different colors kind of, the two different colors kind of swirl in there. We are putting on more paint than I often use with the paintings that I do. However, in this case, to get the colors to mix, that's what we need to do. So, and I used a canvas board, just one of those that is from one of the cheaper spots. I'm a random person when it comes to brushes. Here are what my brushes look like. Just use one that works for you. And then I buy the bigger containers of paint, and then I try to mix my paints. Of course, this one we don't have as many colors. You can always, you know, buy the colors already mixed if you want, but sometimes the fun is learning what it takes to mix those colors. All right, now I'm going to turn this around because I think I will do a better job if I do. Okay, I'm going to put white, more white on there. And a little red. And you might start the same, if you start in the middle, do the middle each time, just so maybe the darker red will be there in the middle. Of course, you will cover some of that up. It does take a little more, for me at least, a little more like pausing to think as I'm doing it, because I have to pick up a certain amount of paint there as opposed to just, you know, what it takes for a brush. Of course, I've used a brush a lot more years than a spoon. I just saw somebody else doing spoons and I thought, well, that might be fun to try something different. I do like the textured part. See how it's, when you add the different layers like that, there's a texture there. And if you had the heavier body paints, then you could get even more texture if you're interested in that. They just cost more, and that's why I try to stay with the craft paints for that reason. I remember the sticker shock my father had when I was in college. You used to be what? On those paints? For what class was that? He was not an art person at all. Mother was the art person in our house. It's nice that we have stores now that we can go and get some of those items and it not hurt the budget as much. So I guess I'm smoothing, blending, smoothing and blending as I go. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Blend, blend, blend. Smoothing and blending as I go. All right. And I'm just going to keep moving my canvas around because like I said, I think I'll do a better job. I think you'll do a better job if you do that. And I'm going to keep adding white. I should put the white on this side. Well, I hope you're having a good day and that maybe someone's joining you to paint this. And maybe you can share this on your social media and somebody else might like to join in. We have a great library system in Mid-Continent Public Library. You don't have to leave your house to learn about art. You can do it right where you are, from your home. Do you see what I did? I dropped just a little bit there. That's exactly why. See all the spots in the back on this? We'll do that at the end. That's why those spots there, but I like them. It adds another layer of interest to it. But it definitely was because I dropped some paint on it. Some of the best accidents art-wise in life have given me the best grades in college art. Some of the kids would, they always drove me crazy when they wanted another piece of paper because I didn't have that much extra anyway, especially when it was the nicer paper when I taught school. And they wanted another piece because they messed up. But those people would mess up and mess up and mess up. It's like, oh, just turn it into something. You can turn it into something good. And then I would always tell them my stories about my art class. And of course, the one I've told the most is where I had the ink and I got ink everywhere. I couldn't figure out what to do, You know, in those classes, they tell you have to do a certain, you usually use a certain media, and then you have to do it a certain way, and you know, all that stuff, all that list of stuff you're supposed to do. And so I was sitting there, you know, in the art room, knowing that my project was gonna be due, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I piddled around and I spilt the ink. And in the process of trying to clean up the ink, I got it all over my hands. Well, it already spilt on the paper, and I knew I was going to have to get another piece of paper, so I just started printing my hands all over that paper. And then, you know, reading and figuring out what I could do to make that into an artwork. And you know, I got an A on that one. Golly. Golly gee. So you never know what comes from a happy mistake or a happy accident. Well, it was the other day I was painting one, and somehow the blue paint got too close to the white, and my sample had white flowers. And I just thought, oh, let's just make them blue. Nobody says they have to be a certain color. So I just try to roll with it. When I teach, I like to tell people if they'll just try to finish. You know, if you can just make yourself finish it, there's something good about the accomplishment of finishing. And then if you want to try it again, especially since you've already got the paint in the house, the canvas doesn't cost that much when you buy the canvas board. You can always use wood or masonite or some of those others, but the canvas board just doesn't cost too much. All right. So I told you, you need a lot of white with this one. A lot of white. It might be that along the way you might need to clean that spoon off. I do like the plastic spoon better. It's a little more flexible than the metal one. I know I did this painting with the metal one, but evidently I didn't have as heavy a hand that day. So try that out a little bit. I do have one of these. It's a little bit too red there. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Let's see. Wipe off my spoon and get another spot going here for white. And then I do a cheap thing here for my paint palette. I have Corel plates. The thing is, the paint comes off really good. This is one that I put on top of the other plate, and I tape it in between my paintings, and that sometimes the paint will last several days that way in case I need to get back to a color. So I try every way I can to make the cost keep down. I want to keep the cost down when I'm doing art. And if I want to clean that plate up, if I need, I'm at the point in life I don't have as many people at my house as I used to. But if I do need this Corel plate, I can clean it up. So I know some of the thrift stores around have, I don't know that they have the white as much as they have the other, but I've seen other Corel plates in there that are from the 70s. You might be able to find something like that if you were interested in having that as your palette. Of course, paper plates work good if you want to just, throw it away when you finish. That certainly works. I don't like as much the paper plate because the paper kind of breaks down depending on how long you have the paint on there for. And this is a smoother touch to your brush or to my spoon. This is fun. Fun to do something. You just don't have quite the control of it that you do with a brush. And if you get tired of not having that control, just switch back to the brush. There's no problem with that. So I've started putting the paint just right on my spoon. That way I have a little less red in it. Which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's just different. Just different. And I think I told you that, start from wherever you did. Do that each time. It looks like I have switched myself over. And I've started from out here and I've gone in. If I don't like it how it does one way, I just switch to another way. Just kind of getting. I'm trying to eyeball it as I go. The college professors always told me to stand back, look at it, stand back a ways, look, and then change if you need to. Change if you need to. You want to be able to draw somebody into your painting. If they come over and want to look closer, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, I want to paint this one like, because I'm in Georgia O'Keeffe's, she would have some of them go off the edge, so let's do that on some of these. I'm going to blend that a little bit more, and then that way if I keep rubbing the spoon across, I'm going to get closer to the same color with it. And it is good to, like once in a while, get some of that red off of there. Probably if I were to give you a hint on make your red further away from the white, I believe would be a better than what I did there. Blend, 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 blend. It's awfully fun to blend. Blend, 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 blend. It's awfully fun to blend. So I couldn't get it quite as white as I wanted there, so I just went back and added red to the other. Okay, now I need a couple more. Couple more petals there. I think this painting's a little harder to talk and do, because usually I don't have any problem with that, but I'm like trying to concentrate on what I'm doing there, and the talking is not flowing as much. I do hope you feel like you're in the room with me. That's what I try to make happen. I want you to feel like you're here and close. All right, I'm going to blow dry, and then we'll see where we are with this. Now, I probably won't be able to get it all, totally blown dry, because I did put it on there pretty thick, but I want to dry it enough that maybe it won't blend quite as much there in the center. think I've at least got some of that in the center a little drier, and it looks like I dragged the paper towel on there. Let's see if I could get a little black. I could go over that. I think I'm going to even up some of these petals along the side here. All right, so I spent a little time off camera blow drying it just a little bit more there, just so that you know what went on. Now what I want to do is I want to take, and I'm going to do like I did on this one, I'm going to do red on the top of that. This time I want mostly just red, and if it blends a little bit of white through, that's all right, but we're just mostly staying with red. I'm going to pull a few more. I'm going to sidetrack myself here. I'm going to pull a few more of these further to the edge. Okay. And then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to try to go in between the petals and bring the red in to the center. I want to go the same direction as the ones above. And I am making my paint a little thicker to go on top of what I've already done. Even though I'm not blending as much here, I need to do that for it to show up. I do not believe my red is as thick as my white, which probably just means my white is older. Sometimes when the paint sits there a while, it gets a little thicker. Yeah, with the spoon method, I do have to have more concentration, it seems like. It is fun, though, to try out new methods, for it to not always be the same. And if you do want to switch to your brush, just feel free to do that. Keep trying to look and see if you get it, closer to the same length on all of those. Might hold it up and step away from it. Sometimes that helps with it. So just keep dipping my brush, yes, my spoon into my paint, and then just smoothing across. It does kind of glide across now because there's enough paint on the canvas that can happen. So some people like to follow more of a pattern of a real flower. Sometimes I like to just get in there and just have a artistic flower. This one is more that. Does remind me a little bit of a peony. Wish I had some in my yard right now. I moved, and I moved at the wrong time of year, and of course life was really busy making the move happen, and I miss a lot of my flowers. That's one of the flowers I really miss. Of course, the peonies have memories from the spring and childhood. I guess that might tell my age. Back in my generation, back in the 60s, peonies were plentiful. Were plentiful, especially in the hills of Tennessee, where my grandparents were. My maternal grandparents lived in Tennessee. Granddad had a little cabin near Kentucky Lake. Now, it wasn't a fancy cabin, guys. It was actually a cabin made out of logs that grew on his farm. Oh. Okay. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Oh. Sorry, got a little bit of water there. Okay, gonna get the old trusty dusty hairdryer up here. Now, one of the things that Georgia O'Keeffe, of course, is known for is looking at a flower differently than what others had done, you know, enlarging the flower and only putting part of it on the canvas. And of course, that's what we've done here, is we've tried to make it look a little different than just, you know, a bouquet on the table. I always think about that Van Gogh one where they said he just took them and put them there and they just went like this. Well, that was one of his sunflowers are one of his most popular paintings even today. So that's kind of how, you know, some of her things developed, is just an artist sees the world in a little bit different way than others do. And that certainly is the case with Georgia O'Keeffe. She has a, you know, very interesting story, you know, a woman in a world that was mostly dominated by men. We don't often think about that these days. Women have a lot more chances to do things out in the business world, the art world, all the different places out in public. There were some that did in the old days, but not near as many. All right. So as you see, if I think something needs it, I just go back in. I go back in with it. If I look at it and go, oh, I think I should have done. So that's what I do. All right, so I think I want to put my little yellow dots there, but I have this feeling that since I painted it to make that center look better, I think they're not going to be able to be there quite yet. Oh, so maybe I need to blow dry just a bit more here. Hope my blow dryer hasn't become annoying this time. I try not to use it as much as I have for this one. All right, I'm going to take a pencil. You could take a pencil. You could take a swab. You could take a small brush. And I don't know that I listed the pencil eraser, so I'm going to use a brush. And I want to dot. I don't really want to paint. I just want to get enough paint on there that I can dot it. See, I'm going back twice, and this time I'm not touching it as heavy. Now, as you'll see with my paintings, they come out different each time. This one looks more like this, and the other one was flatter. Now, see, I have a little time here. I might go back in here and just see what happens if I had a little white like this. So sometimes you just want to experiment a little bit and see how things are going, see how things are looking. Now I don't want those to show quite, the white, I don't want it to show quite as much. So I'm going to take a different brush. I think I'm going to take this one. I'm going to wipe the pink off of it. Oops, that one's a little older, it's coming apart. And I'm going to brush it like this. I'm going to tap a little water there. Just going to brush it out like that. Just going to kind of emphasize the center part there. Let's see. Kind of like that, so I'm just going to add a little more. Sometimes you got to wipe the paint off, especially if it's thick. Paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint. Oh, see, now I like what that did to it. That brought a different level to it. Okay. Just added a little bit of yellow around. Now I waited till that was dry, of course. And then I'm just kind of spreading just real thin a little bit. That word dry brush comes to mind here. Okay. Now how that paint went on there textured, it reminds me more of the thick body paints. That you know, that you can get. So if yours turns out more like this one, this is thinner, and this is a little thicker paint. Sometimes the paint, like I said, dries up over time. Okay. Let's see. Gonna add a little more white in here too, I think. That dry, kind of that dry brush technique of white. I don't like how that brush was gonna do it, so I'm gonna switch to a different one. I just like to experiment with my brushes before. This one has residue of paint from some other time in it, looks like. You gotta always test those brushes. Test, test, test. That's very important. See, each time I'm dabbing it off over here because I don't want a lot. A lot will be too much. I just want a little. So I got a lot of paint on there because we were using the spoon technique. So then I'm going to put some of this to give it just a lighter look. And it's creating a little bit of a roundness to it also. So it's fun to experiment and just see what happens. Sometimes it doesn't come out as what you originally thought or the way you thought it would do. And then you're going, oh, but maybe I like this. Just like my accidents. So as you're experimenting, just, experiment some more and enjoy. Oh, that's helping that. Because I wasn't really satisfied with how it looked. I think I got a little too much red in the outer layer when I was picking up with my spoon. I should sing concentrate, 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 because I think that's what I've been doing this morning on this. Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. Also thinking about my flowers. Oh, at the new house. They are coming up though. Gonna be looking forward to some of them getting big like this. Okay. So, you know what else? That yellow is that's too much on those in the center. Let's see. I think I'm just going to take this paintbrush that has some white and has some pink in it. I'm just going to do like this. I'm going to see what this does to it. So don't be afraid to experiment. Just don't be afraid to experiment. Okay, so see that kind of blends it back down so it doesn't show out as much as it was. All right. Now we could probably, paint on this off and on all day, but we're going to probably have to come to a little close here soon. Pretty soon here. We need to wind her down. Okay. And I like how some of the black is showing through from the background. Now on my other one, I had little dots around, little pink, light pink dots. Some of them are dots and some of them are little lines. So let me see. Trying to get me a nice little small brush here. Maybe this will do. Now that one's a little bit bigger than I sometimes use, so I'm going to dip it, and then I'm going to twist the end before I start. Sometimes I've been known if something's happened to the ends, I also will trim them so that it comes together at the end. All right. Let's see if I get pink. I want a light colored pink because I want it to show up nice on the black. And I've got to watch where those little pieces of the brush are, because this is definitely a used brush. Just trying to make them random across here. There's not really a right or wrong on how many. It's just a visual balance that I try to get. You know, like I told you about how the professor talked about standing back. So if you stand back and you get a visual balance, it could be symmetrical, but asymmetrical works better in my life. I'm definitely more of an asymmetrical person. I do remember having students who, this one boy, we were doing symmetrical and then asymmetrical, and symmetrical he did just fine. Asymmetrical, he would still put it out as symmetrical, and I'd go over and mix it up like, okay, like this. And he's like, I can't do that, Mrs. Poff. I can't do that, Mrs. Poff. He was just one of those really mathematical kids who just, you know, it was just one way, and he couldn't do it. I finally just said, okay, it's all right. It's all right. We definitely, some of us have some ideas, and some of us have other ideas about it. All right, well, definitely a couple of different ways to do this flower. This one is bigger and bolder, and that one is a little maybe quieter. So that is how it goes sometimes in painting. So this is Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, and that's a wrap.